definitely an intent that, oh, yeah, by the way, we could definitely take offensive line, interior DL line, outside linebacker type help. So that was – but we let the board kind of dictate, when we traded back, things like that.
One of your scouts mentioned just now, smart, tough, competitive was sort of what you guys were aiming for here, especially as you look to add players who can contribute early in some places. How do each of these guys that you pick embody that?
What's really cool is we've always tried to embody it, but it is interesting. We sat down and had a conversation with Aaron Donald earlier, and we were talking about, hey, this is kind of the blueprint. There's, we might have to play with some younger players, less experienced players on defense per se. And it was awesome. He looked you in the eye and said, here's the deal. I'm good. Just make sure they care. And that's always resonated with me. But I think we've always tried to do that. At the end of the day, if you want a simple algorithm of people you can bet on probably in life and on the football field, or people who actually are passionate about, doing what they do and then working to try to go be good or great, carve out a role.
Yeah,
I guess we could talk about how they embody it, but go ahead.
Yeah, you go ahead. I'll let you finish.
The neat thing about Big Steve at TCU was coaching change. That's always tough when you're a senior. Regime change comes in. They actually bring their center from SMU with them over to TCU. Moved him to guard. You know what he did? I'll do it. I'll still be your leader. And you saw how he evolved through the season, playing guard for the first time, and then taking it all the way to the combine or the Senior Bowl and thriving there. Yeah. And that's pretty. That's just, you like that about, because that's adversity. Hey, he could have transferred. There's portals and all this stuff. He stayed, worked out for him. I think the neat thing about Mr. Young is, heck, I think y'all probably heard the story. I mean, the guy was working at Dollar General to make it go, but he loved football, and he found a way to walk on at a military school in Georgia, and here we are drafting. So you just got to give those guys, even though mom and dad, God gave him some juice in that body, but just that type stuff. And I think, Kobe's one of those guys too that said, you know what, I did a lot at Richmond. I'm going to try to make it at a next level, and went there. And he's just one of those guys that, when you watch him play, there's no playoff. I think that'd be my description of. Those are guys you like to watch play. You turn on the tape, these guys are having fun. I'm actually having fun watching them.
Absolutely. Nothing to add there.
Last time we talked to you before the draft, you said you hoped to either, whether it was trading up or trading down, adding some picks in between what you had. Why was that so important for you guys?
Oh, man, where's Jake Timmy at? Did y'all talk to Jake tonight? Jake's called that where are we at, third round to fifth round? We nicknamed it the black hole. You know what I mean? And it was like, man, how do we fill a void in the black hole? And there was a couple times even later in the draft we could have traded back, but we decided to stay put and kind of, we at least found this one spot between third and fifth round. So that was important. We talked about it and had an opportunity to trade back at each pick. And what was interesting is that we probably stayed put at probably 2 picks. I'm not sure. Seems like we traded a lot there in the third, but
stayed pick at the first one.
Did we keep 1 pick? 77?
77.
Okay, yeah.
Will you guys
So 2 of the 3.
be in the market for a quarterback tomorrow on day 3? And is that kind of what the plan might have been going in, but Saturday would be the day you might do that?
We're actually thinking we're going to be the first team ever to carry 1 quarterback the whole year. And that's it, Gary.
No kickers.
Hey, no
That speaks for
specialists on the
Matthew's
roster
help.
right now. It's interesting.
We're not going to punt. I don't know who's kicking off. It's going to be cool. Be fun to watch.
But what's kind of going in, because there will be fans that will be saying, geez, maybe they might have pursued a quarterback earlier. But was the plan going in, let's see what happens on day 3?
There's a lot of rumors about Sean and QB this morning. But I won't go there.
I would say this. When you have 9 picks tomorrow, there's still a lot of things that we can do. And real credit to Les and his group to be able to work in collaboration with the coaches. I mean, these are 3 players that we feel like address things that we wanted to be able to address, but more importantly, these are great football players that all have been through stuff that I think when you talk about, like you asked about being smart, tough, competitive, like that's exactly what we're looking for. And people like that have been through something, come out on the right side of it, you're going to have the chance for those people to reach their highest potential. And they love football. It's important to them, but they have the appropriate perspective. And I think that's exactly, what we're looking for. You could hear the emotion in all 3 of those guys' voice when he spoke with them. And there was a collective buy-in. I think when you look at it, there's a lot of great football players that were drafted over the last 2 days. There's going to be a lot of great football players that are drafted tomorrow, and a lot of great football players that are signed as CFAs. But I can't say enough about just the collaboration in terms of our group's ability to be able to work in unison, find and identify those guys. And then, we can't wait to get to work with them and start to be able to develop them. And, and I think we're going to be sitting here tomorrow with 9 guys that we're really jacked up about as well, because of the amount of work that's gone into it from Les and his group. I'm just so impressed with the depth of knowledge that they have. In addition to then, the coaches are looking at it, watching the film, and then getting to know them a little bit. But the amount of work that's been done, you can really feel it, and that gives you confidence that you kind of are able to identify the right guys. And those are positions that we're not naive that need to be addressed. How we do that, whether that's through draft picks or signing them post-draft, is something that I think will naturally unfold, and a lot of those decisions kind of are made as well along the process.
And some of those skill players, how tempting was it for you guys to discuss that number 36 and what to do versus the amount of needs and then also your intel that you had at that time?
Mighty tempting.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, there was guys. No, you talk about it, and there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes, but without getting into specifics, there were certain guys that we had discussed that would definitely merit that. Now, how it unfolds and whether you can do that or not, but we feel really good about. Yeah, I mean, we looked into that stuff, and that's one of those things that I've always appreciated about him and just in general. Like, if we feel like there's players that are identified that provide significant upgrades, and without being reckless, if it fit, and there was calls, there was a lot of dialogue made, really throughout the majority of the night, and really excited about the way that it's unfolded with these 3 guys, and that's all we can worry about. But there was definitely some interesting conversations and some possibilities, but it didn't come to fruition.
Yeah, what was interesting, no team really moved out of the first to the second. And I know there was probably a few other teams that were trying to get there, but for whatever reason this year, usually it happens once or twice. They're in the late part of the first round. It didn't happen for whatever reason this year.
Is there a specific spot in mind where you plan to start Steve, or will you just kind of he's so much experience at different spots, or do you kind of wait and see where he fits in?
Well, I think you always want to be able to cross-train guys. He's got really great position flex. I think what Les said is, you're talking about a guy that, played center at a high level and then transitioned to guard. And you watch, the caliber of players that they were going against in the college football playoffs, where you're seeing 2 interior players that he's consistently going against that were drafted in night, on night 1. And then the Senior Bowl, to me, where you really see a lot of those things, and you're going against really high caliber players. That was fun to be able to watch. And you do another deep dive, and you really dive into those guys that Les and his group had identified this morning, and you have the time to kind of be able to, make sure that you get your ducks in a row. And he's a guy that I think he can play guard or center. We've got some competitive spots, and, we want to be able to create competition on this roster. And we've got guys that have played a lot of football, but I do think that competition brings out the best in players. Everything is going to be earned, nothing's going to be given, and I think that's going to be a consistent narrative and theme that you'll see that'll, give us the best chance to be the best team we can be. And Steve will, he'll play guard and center, but, we'll see how that unfolds. But want to be able to have enough guys that can snap the football, but I think he can play any of those interior spots.
Keeping with Steve, there was a lot of excitement throughout the building, once he got picked there at 36. Just what, excited guys the most about getting him in that spot?
Go ahead,
I got distracted, so I wasn't even paying attention. So,
what did you
question
like
again?
most about Steve?
There was just a lot of excitement throughout the building when you guys got Steve at 36. Just what was the topic?
I think it was a little bit what you alluded to earlier is, all right, if there's a chance to address the offensive line, especially the interior, or really any of the spots, but let's go for it. And we spent a lot of time evaluating these players, researching them. So I think at the end of the day, what it came down to is a lot of collective work between scouts and coaches, and you get into, right, the versatility, a guy that can definitely play 3 spots, left, center, right guard, those type things. And end of the day, like Sean said, get to turn on the college football playoffs, and he plays against 2 first-rounders back-to-back, and then goes to the Senior Bowl and plays against guys that definitely got drafted over the last couple of days, and you get to really see him evolve and improve and go, wow. And then the Senior Bowl is a little bit neat because offenses are different. It's a little more pro-style offense, and you can kind of really get a vision of how he can fit in. But long answer to, guess what? He gets in the way, and he stays in the way.
Couple more, guys.
A little bit of an odd question for both of you, if you don't mind.
Oh, where are you going with
Oh,
this?
man, this is odd.
Kobe is pretty well known at his school for his musical ability, and his nickname's the conductor and all of that. And he was talking on our call about the comparisons between composing and reading sheet music to pass rushing and setting up different combinations and some of the technical work. To that point, young guys who are creative, who have those traits that you just talked about, does that sort of broaden what's possible for you guys on this defense as you sort of overhaul most of what you're
Well,
doing?
that's a deep one. I can't say this. We drafted Kobe really because of what he did right on the grass on Saturday afternoons at Wake Forest. It was cool. I'm not even sure Sean probably didn't know this, but I know it was cool when our area scout Mike Pierce was talking about that special gift off the field that he has. Now, what's interesting is him articulating to y'all, hey, wait a minute, some of that plays into his success. So that's pretty neat. But we didn't draft him because he could sing.
That wasn't the implication. But
Well, I didn't.
Yeah.
I think, to even make the parallels shows you that this guy's thinking about it and what are the different ways. And, I do think, part of that balance is probably helpful for him to be able to say, all right, how can me being a composer in music help me be a better football player? I think some of the coolest things that happen on a sports field are when they go off schedule. And there's a creativity that I think the greats bring to life that, there's a structure that you try to have from a coach's perspective. But some of the most fun are when these guys just make it right. Or when a play breaks down. You think about Patrick Mahomes when he's breaking contain, or when Matthew Stafford's buying time in the pocket or breaking contain. Or you think about Aaron Donald when things go off schedule. They're not planning on him splitting a double team. And so those second reaction movements and that ability to be able to say, all right, if this guy's thinking I'm going to come with my primary move, what are the counters off of it, and how can I use that to my advantage where you're playing the game within the game? But I don't know anything about music, but I like what he's saying, I would think.
Do you guys have a timeline for
Last
Logan's
one.
recovery?
Man, artist.
Do you expect Logan to be back for training camp? Just curious.
He's good. He's ready to go. He's done a great job with Reggie and his group attacking his rehab, and so you always want to monitor guys, but we start phase 2 next week, and physically he looks good. I think he did a great job of being able to really, you just see a guy coming in as a rookie and what you can do, to just physically how his body looks, and he's got a good look in his eye, and so don't anticipate any limitations, for him moving forward.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.